the other ones that were there, which I'm sure, they've been sitting there because I actually dated the box. And that way I knew also what I was supposed to get and how to get, what to do with it afterwards. So it had been like 4 years since we had 3 or 4 years since we had any problem. But then it was a dry spell. So that's what I was thinking, the same thing, because the person who came in, it says the pump, if there's water regular, I guess the things can't come up the pump, but little buggies do. Otherwise, I'm not real thrilled when I see that stuff. But I don't spray anything outside. They have the whole outside. I don't. They shouldn't come inside.
Facebook, and we want to welcome everybody for Havdalah with a bonus. And our bonus of the bonus is weather and ants and all the other things that come with it being too dry or too wet, as we move through and into the spring and finally out of winter. So we are going to continue with Rabbi Rachel sharing a story.
And of course, next week's is Shavuot, since we've been doing the countdown. So I have a Shavuot story for this week. So there was a wonderful little town set on the Mediterranean Sea. The whitewashed houses had beautiful boxes with bright, colorful flowers. And the town was so friendly that the windows and the doors stayed open even during the night to catch the breeze because it was safe. The people of the village were just as gentle as the weather, good-natured and honest. Yes, it was an absolutely perfect place to live. That is, until Mendel came to town. You see, Mendel was a thief. Wait. Let's not be rude. Okay, we don't want to call him names. It's not nice to do that. Let's just say that sometimes Mendel took things without asking for permission first. But although now the villagers were more guarded about their belongings, locking their doors, making sure the windows were shut, their hearts were still as open as they were before. Mendel never lacked for holiday invitation, and the children waited impatiently until he arrived. It was so nice to have him there because, aside from his being a you-know-what, he was charming and amiable. Mendel would tell silly stories. He would find a coin behind a giggling child's ear, and everyone sang loudly with the songs that he led. Then as the evening drew to a close, his host would count the silverware, rescue their candlesticks or wedding rings from his pockets, and send him on his way. And Mendel really didn't mind the routine because, after all, he knew he was you-know-what. So at first, Mendel found all the kindness making his job difficult. I mean, after all, when people are nice to you, it's sort of hard to take things that don't originally belong to you from them. But it didn't stop him, and then stealing got worse and worse. So finally, the town's leaders decided to ask the rabbi for help. So soon afterwards, the rabbi went to visit him. Mendel was honored but surprised. He rarely had somebody like that come to visit him, a distinguished, visitor from the town. He quickly offered the rabbi a seat and produced some almonds and pistachios that had somehow fallen into his pocket with only a little bit of help on the market day. Mendel poured some coffee and slowly stirred sugar into it with a neighbor's silver teaspoon. The rabbi said thank you, shaking his head a little sadly as he noticed his own carpet under his feet. Mendel, he said, we have to talk. I hear you need a job, and I need someone to help me with the synagogue. If you come and work for me, maybe I can teach you a little Torah while you earn some honest or well-deserved money. Mendel looked bewildered. No one had ever suggested this to him before. Work for a living? Is that really possible? Sure, said the rabbi. You have to keep the synagogue clean and tidy. You have to polish the golden menorah, the silver candle crowns on the Torah, the tzedakah box. But Mendel asked, is it a good idea for me to handle such valuable objects? Of course it is, said the rabbi. All you need to do is learn a little Torah and to have some responsibility. I'm sure you'll show us what a good man you really are. So how about coming by? And the rabbi went to pull his watch out of his pocket to check the time, but his watch was gone. Sorry, Mendel said with a sheepish grin. It's a habit. I'll be there in an hour. So that's how Mendel, the sheep thief, became the shamus of the synagogue. Now, the rabbi knew that Mendel had never been to school, so he decided to teach him when they worked together. On the first morning, the rabbi put him right to work washing the windows and polishing the woodwork. I want everything to sparkle for Shavuot, the rabbi said. It's going to be coming in a few days, and we need to prepare the synagogue. So they brought in armloads of flowers to decorate the synagogue and layer a sweet grass on the ground because it had a dirt ground. And then the rabbi told them all these holiday decorations remind us of how the children of Israel stood at the foot of Mount Sinai to receive the Torah. The rabbi even found a way to turn lunchtime in a lesson. He invited Mendel to eat at his house where his wife was busy preparing cheese pastries and honey cake. Because the Torah is like milk and honey, he told Mendel. Mendel listened to all these explanations with his eyes opening wider because no one had ever taken the time to teach him about this before. Then the next morning, he was scrubbing the floors when the rabbi called to him, "When you're ready for a rest, look up at the plaque of the 10 Commandments we have hanging there. That's what God gave the Jewish people at Mount Sinai. And that's why we celebrate Shavuot." Knowing that Mendel could barely read, the rabbi helped him sound out all the words, putting special emphasis on the words, "You shall not steal." Mendel looked at the words for a long time, his scrubber dripping soapy water on his shoes and saying, "That's a lot of rules. How will I remember them all?" The rabbi clasped him on the shoulder and said, "A great scholar named Akiva once said the whole Torah could be summed up this way: love others as you love yourself. That's all you need to know to be a better person." Mendel seemed cheered by this and nodded vigorously and went back to work. In fact, the rabbi was really been impressed with Mendel's progress. He was learning quickly, the synagogue was spotless, and best of all, nothing had gone missing. "Mendel, I'm very proud of you," the rabbi told him on the third day. "You've learned a lot in a short time, and I can see you've changed. Before you go home tonight, let's count all the donations that the villagers have given for Shavuot. Because tomorrow we'll need to give that money to people who need it, so they'll be able to celebrate their holiday with joy. Then you'll see how much better it is to give than to take." And the rabbi paused and looked straight into Mendel's eyes and said, "And just in case you're tempted, we'll put the money right here under the words, 'You shall not steal,' just to be safe." And Mendel nodded his head. At the end of the day, the rabbi put the 10 shekels they'd counted from the tzedakah box under the 10 commandments, and the two men left to go home. The next day, Mendel was late to work at the synagogue. Did I make a mistake, the rabbi thought, his heart beat quickening. He went to Mendel's house, but it was completely empty. Not a stick of furniture, not a pot or a pan, not his carpet, nothing. The rabbi was upset. Mendel had packed up and run away, but why? Then he suddenly remembered the donation box. The rabbi burst into a run, entered the synagogue, found the box, and with fingers trembling opened it. Inside were 5 shekels and a note that was smudged and dotted with crossed out words. It was from Mendel. "Dear Rabbi," the note read, "last night I couldn't stop thinking about all that money, and I was really tempted to take it and run away. But then when I came to the synagogue, I saw 'You shall not steal,' and I remembered what you taught me. Rabbi, you will be very proud of me because I restrained myself and decided to take nothing. But then I remembered the words you said of Rabbi Akiva, 'Love others the way you love yourself,' and it was clear what I should do. So I left 5 shekels for my neighbors and kept 5 for myself. And you were right. I feel like a much better person now." The rabbi sighed. Well, he thought, his face brightening, at least it was a start. He left half. And that's our story for tonight.
I was hoping that he had taken all the goods he had stolen and were taking them back to their rightful owners. I was hoping he hadn't run away.
Yeah, well, it's kind of, but there's some places where we'll read this story and other places where you really don't want people to have any idea. I mean, because it doesn't approve of Mendel taking the money, but there's places where you don't really want to read it where anybody can say, oh, well, he did that and it's not okay, but he doesn't get punished. At least he learned something, though. He did remember the rabbi's words, so that's good. Both words, both sets of words.
So I have a little story to add this evening as well, that I came upon this week. Most of you are probably familiar with Helm stories, the wise men of Helm in this town that is, they aren't so wise. And Charles Arian, who is either a rabbi or a cantor, I'm not sure which. But anyway, he went to Hebrew Union College, and he posted this contemporary Helm story, which I want to share with you today. On the road into Helm, just outside the town, there was a dangerous curve. Drivers, wagons, and horses would fairly frequently misjudge the turn and tumble over a cliff into the ravine below.
Mhm.
It was an intolerable situation and something needed to be done. So the elders of Helm debated for months and years about what to do, and they finally hit on a solution. They would build a hospital in the ravine at the place where horses, wagons, and people kept tumbling over the cliff. That way, when the accidents happened, the victims could be treated right away. Somehow, I was reminded of this story by the various suggestions to armed teachers in the wake of the Uvalde, Texas massacre. Since we lack the will to really solve the problem, we will continue to come up with fanciful and absurd solutions to at least create the illusion that we are trying to do something. Welcome to the United States of Helm. So have a moment for you to think about that story. When I saw it, I thought this is the group to share it with. So it is clearly in the spirit of the Helm stories, and unfortunately rings truer than we'd like it to ring in the world in which we live right now.
I find that interesting because I think one of the last things I wrote for the reporter was the USA in Wonderland. And it's the same kind of thing.
Uh-huh.
You have to look at it and find it unbelievable with what's going on.
Yeah. So I'm a little challenged for
You're muted, Rabbi. You're muted.
I didn't realize I muted before. I'm sorry, because I was unmuted when I told you the story, right?
Yes.
I don't know how I got muted, but okay. So anyway, I've shared the blessings, and I'm going to share the songs as well. And then we'll do the Omer after. So counting of the Omer. Okay, so everything is in the margins, and I'm going to move this down so you can see the candle. So I invite you to light your candles as well. Ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Borei peri hagafen, borei peri hagafen. Ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei minei v'samim. Borei minei v'samim. Ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei me'orei ha'esh, borei me'orei ha'esh. Ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamavdil ben kodesh lechol, ben or lechoshech, ben yom hashvi'i l'sheshet yemei Hamaseh. Baruch atah Adonai hamavdil ben kodesh lechol. We take a few more moments to savor the last bit of Shabbat, and then we'll be ready to put the candle out in the wine or juice. One second. Oh, I know what happened there. My camera, the thing came out. Here, let's see if it looks better this way. I'm sorry, I don't know why I don't have a picture of it. Well, I'm going to lead us in Eliyahu Hanavi. There's no reason to spotlight me if my picture isn't going to come up. So, my virtual background is goofing up. That's why it doesn't like my virtual background. Well, I guess I'll get rid of it then. Let's see if that works. We're going to all together then sing Eliyahu Hanavi. Eliyahu Hanavi, Eliyahu Hatishbi, Eliyahu, Eliyahu, Eliyahu Hagiladi, Bimhera v'yameinu, Eleinu, Mashiach ben David, Mashiach ben David, Eliyahu Hanavi, Eliyahu Hatishbi, Eliyahu, Eliyahu, Eliyahu Hagiladi. I invite you to unmute so we can sing Shavua Tov together. Shavua
Tov,
Shavua Tov, Shavua Tov, Shavua Tov,
Shavua Tov,
Shavua
Shavua
Tov,
Tov,
Shavua
Shavua
Tov,
Shavua Tov. A
good
good
week,
week, a
week
week
of
of
peace.
peace.
May
May
gladness,
gladness reign
rain
and
and
joy
joy increase.
increase.
A good
Good
week,
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 a
a
week of
week of
peace.
peace.
May
May
gladness,
gladness
gladness reign
reign
and
and
joy
joy
increase.
So now I would like to introduce the final week of the Omer, of the counting of the Omer. So in Rabbi Karen Kadar's materials, the 7th week, which, as Rabbi Rachel said, next Saturday evening is Shavuot. So our last counting of the Omer will be Friday night at Shabbat services. So this week, the theme is prayer. And the text for it from Exodus chapter 5 is Moses and Aaron said to Pharaoh, "Thus says the Eternal, the God of Israel, let my people go that they may celebrate a festival for me in the wilderness." Shavuot. So this is the great journey to refine our lives. Just a second. To refine our lives and to become strong and resolved, to have meaning and purpose, depth and commitment, to live in awe and wonder, and to bear witness to life's grandeur. Have an active conversation with the invisible. Doubt and argue, dream and beg, ask for help, ask for forgiveness, ask for gratitude. Shout at the heavens when you despair, and raise your voice in song when you rejoice. Sit through the silences of the Spirit. Do not run from what cannot be known or understood. Life is mystery. Anything we truly want to know and understand is, by definition, mysterious. We've gone through the progression of the themes of decide, choose, discern, hope, imagine, and have courage. Now, pray. When we pray, we bow in humility to the greatness of it all. May our lives become a prayer to all that is good and important. And know life is given meaning, texture, purpose when meekly we utter Amen to the mystery and the magnificence of life. So it is with that thought that we continue with the counting of the Omer for the 43rd night. Well, the night beginning the 43rd day. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher tzivanu al sfirat haomer. Praised be you, Adonai, our God, who rules the universe, instilling within us the holiness of mitzvot by commanding us to count the Omer. And today is the 43rd day, 6 weeks and 1 day of the Omer. So that concludes our Havdalah and our bonuses for this evening. So we wish everyone on Facebook, a Shavua Tov, a good week. And next week we'll be here on Friday night for Shabbat services. Saturday we're doing an ice cream social in the garden. And so it's not really a program with the content to be able to do it on Zoom. So Saturday night will not be on Zoom next week. But the week after, as part of the Scholar in Residence weekend with Kol Beseder, with Cantor Jeff Klepper and Rabbi Dan Friedlander, we'll be having a concert starting at 7 o'clock, and it will be in the Temple Concord Facebook page, on Zoom, and in person. And as part of the concert, we'll be making Havdalah during that. And the concert will be up on Facebook for 1 week. and then we'll be taking it down. So it will be there if you are busy that's Friday night, not able to be with us, you'll still be able to catch it or enjoy it more than once. So we say goodbye to those who are with us from Facebook, and Shavua Tov.